The U.S. Air Force appears ready to revive an old and rather controversial idea to install external fuel tanks on the F-35 stealth fighter jet. In the fiscal year 2026 budget, a funding request of nearly $432 million confirms that the F-35 Block 4 modernization program will include an in-depth study of external fuel tank integration, which could potentially alter how the F-35 conducts long-range missions in the future. This idea is not new. In the early 2000s, Lockheed Martin attempted to design 460 and 480-gallon tanks for the F-35, but the project stalled due to aerodynamic issues and concerns about reduced stealth capabilities. Now, with evolving threats and the sixth-generation fighter jet program, like NGAD facing delays, the USAF appears to be assessing this as the right time to revisit the previously abandoned option, with a more advanced approach. One key driver: range. The F-35A has a combat radius of approximately 670 nautical miles, and the F-35C has a slightly longer range, but it is still insufficient for operations far from base or without tanker support. And here lies the problem. In modern combat environments, aerial tankers, such as the KC-135 and KC-46, are increasingly vulnerable to long-range missile attacks. Reliance on them could be a weak point. The FY 2026 budget includes plans to evaluate technical options such as drop tanks and conformal fuel tanks, CFT. Interestingly, Israel has already experimented with modifications to the F-35I Adir, and the results show that this solution is indeed viable for real-world operations. So, the USAF is not actually starting from scratch. This development is not only about range, but also about America's strategic position in regions such as the Indo-Pacific, which is vast, complex, and full of China's A2/AD, anti-access area denial systems. Increasing the F-35's range without the need for in-flight refueling means reducing the exposure of tanker aircraft and opening up more options for deep strikes without having to rely on a support fleet. Will this compromise the F-35's stealth capabilities? Possibly, but with new design approaches like a flatter CFT and smoother structural integration, that risk can be minimized. Additionally, with advancements in aerodynamic simulation technology and new materials, past challenges may no longer be major obstacles. And this isn't just about the U.S. Air Force. Many other F-35 operator nations, especially those without many tankers, will see this option as a game-changer. Imagine if a small nation's F-35s could conduct deeper strikes without relying on logistical support from larger allies. This plan also emerges as several key programs face setbacks. The Navy's next-generation fighter jet, the F-A-20, is not moving quickly, and the MQ-25 Stingray drone tanker project remains stalled. Thus, the USAF and its partners may have to rely on the F-35 for longer than previously planned. The bottom line: installing external fuel tanks on the F-35 may not be the most elegant solution, but it is a practical step to address today's strategic challenges. And if done correctly, this fifth-generation stealth jet could overcome its limitations and remain the backbone of U.S. air power projection for decades to come. But let's be clear, this is not just about increasing range. It's about keeping the F-35 relevant in rapidly changing combat scenarios. The world today is far more complex than it was a decade ago when this aircraft began mass production. The operational environment is now filled with advanced air defense systems, hypersonic missiles, and multi-spectrum detection capabilities from potential adversaries such as China and Russia. Amidst all this, every small improvement, from new radar, electronic warfare software, to additional fuel, could be the difference between success and failure in real-world missions. And this is why all eyes are on how the Air Force will conduct this feasibility study. If they find a way to integrate fuel tanks without sacrificing too many stealth characteristics, or if they can be jettisoned mid-mission when entering enemy territory, then we could witness a significant transformation in modern air tactics. Moreover, such a solution would enable increased mission flexibility without having to wait for sixth-generation jets or new tanker infrastructure, which could still be years away from completion. In a world where reaction time and air superiority can determine the balance of power, external fuel tanks on the F-35 may not make headlines, but their impact could be significant. The F-35 was designed as a joint strike fighter, a multi-role fighter for various needs and nations. And with this modular approach, it truly lives up to its name: flexible, adaptive, and ready to fight on the front lines, no matter how far those lines may be. One thing is certain: the battle for air superiority won't wait for perfect technology. It will keep moving, and those who can adapt the fastest usually win.